Shalom to the elect of Israel, to the whole flock of Israel, you Hebrew Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians. Gotta give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. The Most High, the Heavenly Father, his Hebrew name is Yahweh. Not Yahweh, not Jehovah, not God, not Elohim, not Most High, not Lord, not Yah, not Jah, not Ahaya, not Allah, not Abba, not Yahuwah, not Hashem. It's Yahweh. And his only begotten son name in the Hebrew is Yahweh Shai. Not Yahshua, not Yeshua, not Jesus Christos, not Jesus Christ, not Serapis Christos, not Yeshaya, not Yehoshua, not Yahusha, not Jesus. It's Yahweh Shai. So we got to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rekah, Kodash. Double honors to the apostles, elder bishop, and elders of great millstone, who rule well, who teach well, who are the apostles and elders of all of Israel, whether accepted or not. In a sincere salutation to all the occupants pushing his truth and believing his truth. Throughout the four winds of the earth, the entire world, shedding light to the hopeful elect. Shalom to the Awath who are listening learning. You few sisters who are listening learning. I'm Isaiah from Jim Solano Camp, coming at another lesson in true facts, faith, and edification. Another day of edification, Lord, was better find. A prophet of doom. And I titled this lesson, Esau, Idumeans, self-proclaimed so-called white man, Dukes of Edom, a necessary evil. And this is the title when I was listening to Elder Mawatazak from yesterday. He said vocab is a necessary evil. And he is. The Edomites, the so-called white man, the self-proclaimed so-called white man, is a necessary evil. Because without the so-called white man, you wouldn't know, none of us would know the extent of how far wickedness can go. Now, Jake did some wicked things in the ancient time. This is why we on this side of the world wearing skinny jeans and Crocs, bugged out. Because Jake knew the names of the Lord. Jake was speaking Hebrew, wearing garments, and being wicked. Surpassed, as it tell you in Jeremiah 5:26. The Lord said his people have surpassed the deeds of the wicked. Jake did some wicked things in the ancient time. But there is none wickeder. There is none wickeder than the wickedness of the so-called white man. Hey, he's a necessary evil, because without the Canaanites was wicked, and the so-called white man took all the idols, all the ancient idols of the Egyptians and the Canaanites. They brought them here to America, Babylon the Great. So I got like 3 videos I want to play. These 2 is 17 minutes. I'm probably gonna read 1 or 2 precepts. I want to show this before I crash out. I was gonna hold this till tomorrow, but my spirit telling me to do it now, so I'm gonna do it before I lay down. Lord, wisdom be edifying. So check this out. Let me turn this volume down. There is none wickeder than the so-called white man. This is what the Lord said in Proverbs 3:31. Envy thou not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways.
Sometimes the most shocking corporate misconduct is hidden in plain sight, invisible to the naked eye.
What is happening here will swallow up our world if we don't stop it right here, right now.
Looking back, there was an early clue that the world's richest man was up to something here.
It's just like, why is Elon Musk coming to Memphis?
The people of Memphis soon found out.
Now Elon Musk is coming to Memphis to build.
Now, he's not the world's richest man. He's nowhere near the world's richest man. But anyway.
The world's largest supercomputer.
A year later,
we here because we mean business.
People here want answers.
It's the job of the health department to protect our lungs, and not once have they went to XAI to see that they had 35 gas turbines operating and polluting our air.
We went to Memphis and found an environmental crime scene. Musk's data center burning enough methane to power a small city with no permits and no pollution controls.
I have not seen anything like this. We believe they've already violated the Clean Air Act.
As Musk helps dismantle the very federal agency that's supposed to protect us against pollution like this,
There is no way to miss how this is a coordinated strategy.
what does Memphis reveal about the future Elon Musk wants for us all?
So the mission of XAI and Grok is to understand the universe.
In 2023, Musk founded XAI to produce and sell artificial intelligence.
We want to understand the nature of the universe so we can figure out where are the aliens, what's the meaning of life, how does the universe end.
Its main product is Grok, an AI chatbot that he's incorporated into Twitter, or X. Musk was entering the race to dominate the AI market, but he was arriving late, years after competitors like OpenAI and Google had begun training their AI systems. So in Musk's mind, he had to move fast.
We went to the data center providers and said how long would it take to have 100,000 GPUs operating coherently in a single location, and we got timeframes from 18 to 24 months. So we're like, well, 18 to 24 months, that means losing is a certainty. So the only option was to do it ourselves.
Been waiting for this moment. I am pleased to announce that XAI's Gigafactory of Compute, the world's largest supercomputer, is to be located in Memphis, Tennessee.
Musk dubbed the project Colossus, after a movie about a supercomputer that becomes sentient and assumes total control of the world.
And so, my fellow human beings, we all directly and indirectly live in the shade, but not the shadow of Colossus.
When you think about the computational power that it will take to put humans on the surface of Mars, that's going to come from the Gigafactory of Compute that calls Memphis home. We were told that by the company. And so it required speed and power.
It's announced as a done deal.
Keyshawn Pearson grew up in South Memphis.
A billionaire and his organization is coming to our city, and we're just finding out after the land has been purchased, after the project has been approved by certain officials, right, who did know.
This is huge. This puts the word out there that Memphis understands operating at the speed of business.
As a community, we're trying to reach out to people and understand what is XAI. He built it without us even knowing that it was being built.
We had to watch this over X or Twitter. Brent Mayo, Elon Musk would tweet often about where they were in the progress, how fast things were moving.
To train an AI system, a data center requires an enormous amount of electricity. The question was, where would the power come from?
Now listen to this. This is the word technocracy. It's a noun, the government or control of society or industry by an elite of technical experts, right? Listen, it's a technocracy, political ideology. Technocracy is a form of government in which decision makers, which is the elites, appoint knowledge experts in specific domains to provide them with advice and guidance in various areas of their policy-making responsibilities.
Most companies, when they come to the city of Memphis, they plug into our power grid. That's what you think would happen. Why would this be any different? Unfortunately, we learned because it is a billionaire's corporation, it would be a lot different.
XAI made a deal with the local electric company for 150 megawatts of power and agreed to build a new substation to help meet that demand. But Musk's ambitious plans suggested he would need much more power than that, and fast. Soon, people started to notice some unusual structures outside the facility.
I drove out there, and the first thing I did was hear the turbines. You can smell it as well. Such a disturbingly unique smell.
From the road, Keyshawn and others could see a row of machines that are typically only used for remote or emergency operations. Mobile gas turbines.
I have never seen portable turbines used like this.
Patrick Anderson works on air quality cases for the Southern Environmental Law Center.
We know that these kinds of generators require air permits. And so right off the bat, we started filing records requests with the local Shelby County Health Department. Do you have an air permit application from XAI? And they came back and basically said, no, we have nothing to hand over. We also filed records requests with EPA to see what they had. They also did not have details on what is on the ground out there. Nobody from the regulatory side, the health department, the city, EPA, has told the public or us really one iota of what's actually operating out there.
To figure that out, Patrick and his team hired a photographer to capture the data center from above. The images revealed far more turbines than anyone knew about. 35.
I couldn't believe it. I was absolutely stunned. How do we not know about this?
According to XAI leadership, the turbines are not being used and are not connected.
Under pressure, XAI claimed it was using less than half of those turbines.
I've talked to the XAI leadership team. There are 35, but there are only 15 that are on. The other ones are stored on the site.
Well, first off, these are expensive. There's a turbine shortage nationally. You don't obtain these turbines and put them on site if you're not intending to operate them.
So Patrick and his team sent the photographer back out with a high-end thermal camera.
What we saw is 33 of the 35 were very clearly operating.
The turbines were capable of generating about 420 megawatts of electricity, enough to power around 300,000 homes.
They've built a power plant out there. And they've done it overnight, no air pollution controls, quick and dirty, no permit.
I mean, what you've done with the cluster in Memphis is incredible. Just in a handful of weeks.
Any given thing can be sped up.
Yeah.
Like whatever speed is being done, it can be done faster.
This is the largest AI cluster in the world. This place is absolutely amazing.
That is like superhuman. I mean, Elon is singular. Building a massive factory in the short time that was done, there's only one person in the world who could do that.
And this entire supercomputer is built to power rocks.
We were given a tour at XAI, looking at the facility, very impressive, very exciting for Memphis. Their commitment to the community is remarkable.
It's unique in my experience.
Joseph Goffman has worked on air pollution issues for decades. Until January, he ran the EPA office that regulates air quality.
Most companies that I've dealt with go to great lengths and spend a lot of money to make sure that the day they turn on their operations, they're also turning on their pollution control equipment. That's a given. For a company to do this, it's treating the people who live there as if they don't count.
I like to open my windows early in the morning to breathe the fresh air, God's given air, not the air that man want to give us, but God.
Easter Knox lives just over a mile from XAI.
I really wasn't getting the fresh air. I was getting that pollution that was mixed in with everything.
You know how you light your stove and that gas seeps with the little ticking noise? That's what it smelled like.
Alexis Humphreys grew up here, 1 street away from Easter.
When I smelled it the first time, I was asleep. And it woke me up because I thought gas was seeping in the house, but come to find out, we come outside and all the neighbors was outside trying to figure out what's going on.
He was an ordinary dad, full of joy, full of jokes.
Last year, Alexis lost her grandfather, who struggled with a respiratory illness called chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, or COPD.
COPD is a breathing condition, but you don't get it unless you smoke cigarettes. And my granddad didn't smoke cigarettes, but every 3 weeks.
That's the image. That's in Revelations 1. The white hair that's on the Lord's face, his beard, mustache, goatee, afro. That'll be how the Lord look right there, man.
Weeks or so, my granddad was going to the hospital. He would have to get breathing treatments. I have asthma, bronchitis. My mom have just bronchitis, and now my granny has it.
You can't hardly breathe. It's just like your whole world is collapsing down on you. And it's frightening.
Easter and her husband have also developed COPD. What does it feel like?
Feel like you're fixing to die.
The area...
Did you hear what the young chick said about her grandfather? Let's run this back.
to open my windows early in the morning to breathe the fresh air, God's given air, not the air that man want to give us, but God.
Eastern Ox lives just over a mile from XAI.
I really wasn't getting the fresh air. I was getting that pollution that was mixed in with everything.
You know how you light your stove and that gas seeps with the little ticking noise? That's what it smelled like.
Alexis Humphreys grew up here, one street away from Eastern.
When I smelled it the first time, I was asleep. And it woke me up because I thought gas was seeping in the house, but come to find out, we come outside and all the neighbors was outside trying to figure out what's going on.
He was an ordinary dad, full of joy, full of jokes.
Last year, Alexis lost her grandfather, who struggled with a respiratory illness called chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, or COPD.
COPD is a breathing condition, but you don't get it unless you smoke cigarettes. And my granddad didn't smoke cigarettes, but every 3 weeks or so, my granddad was going to the hospital. He would have to get breathing treatments. I have asthma, bronchitis. My mom have just bronchitis, and now my granny has it.
You can't hardly breathe. It's just like your whole world is collapsing down on you. And it's frightening.
Easter and her husband have also developed COPD. What does it feel like?
Feel like you're fixing to die.
The area around XAI leads the state in emergency department visits for asthma. Memphis has one of the highest rates of toxic air releases of any American city, and many of its most polluting facilities are in this neighborhood.
Elon, what he did with Memphis is objectively somewhat dirty, but he's also doing it in an area where there's like a bigger natural gas plant right next door and like a wastewater treatment and a garbage dump nearby, right? And he's obviously made the world a lot more clean than that one data center.
In just 1 year, XAI has blown past existing polluters.
They're emitting somewhere between 1,000 and 2,000 tons of NOx. I'm an air pollution guy, so I deal in those numbers all the time, and that's larger than anything else in Memphis.
Gas turbines like these release 3 main types of deadly pollution: nitrogen oxides, formaldehyde, and fine particulate matter. Nitrogen oxides combine with other pollutants to form ground-level ozone, which causes and worsens asthma and COPD. Formaldehyde causes cancer, and particulate matter, airborne soot, can pass through your lungs and into your bloodstream, causing heart disease.
We've shown up today because we've been to too many funerals. We've shown up.
Yeah, that's why Psalms 124 reads, "If it had not been for Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushua, we'll be dead, man." And this is what the Lord said in Matthew 24. If he don't shorten the days, it ain't going to be no elect here to be saved, man. The Lord got to shorten the days because this devil is working overtime.
Today because we cried too many tears. We've shown up here today because we're tired.
And Jake think protesting against the government is going to help, man. The Lord set these people up to destroy 2/3 of Jake. Hey, sad as this is, it's a necessary evil, man.
And we have an expectation of the people that we elect and put into place.
You people don't elect nobody to put nobody nowhere, man. Hey, and to the sister, daughter of Zion, hey, the water for the compliment, but I'm not an elder. The water for the compliment, I appreciate it, but I'm not an elder. Hey, your vote doesn't matter, man. This is from the elites. This comes from up top, man.
Expect them to do what is in our best interest. Not of Elon Musk. And what we're saying is that stops now.
In April, hundreds of people came to a high school in South Memphis to talk about XAI.
Welcome to the new generation of environmental justice. Stop being a coward and say no to being permanent. Today, get a backbone because in Memphis we don't bluff. Period.
In January, the company belatedly applied for a permit to operate 15 of its turbines for 5 years.
I'm going to invite a representative up from the applicant XAI, Mr. Brent Mayo.
With the Edomites.
That's the first time that XAI has publicly addressed the community in any way.
Understand? People do not want to hear this statement, but again, XAI is committed to meeting the highest standard for emissions. XAI is going above and beyond the required emission control required. And to that, thank you very much for your time.
He immediately left after reading his script. It's extremely disrespectful.
It's time to start telling the truth. The truth is that XAI, who just ran up out of here, they have no controls that prevent air pollution or decrease air pollution in their factories. None. That's the truth.
To date, local and state authorities have taken no action against XAI. Running turbines without permits or pollution controls is also a violation of the Clean Air Act, which it's the EPA's job to enforce. But to date, the EPA has done nothing, and Elon Musk is doing what he can to keep it that way. Musk has helped the Trump administration place strict limits on the EPA's budget as part of President Trump's broader project to radically reshape the agency. Trump's EPA has begun what it calls the biggest deregulatory action in U.S. history.
To fulfill President Trump's promise to unleash American energy and give power back to the states.
It eliminated the EPA's office that assists heavily polluted communities like South Memphis and canceled billions of dollars of funding for addressing pollution.
So you've slashed already $22 billion in grants, but you used Doge, if I'm not mistaken, to take down your head count?
It's been great. The people working on the Doge mission are EPA employees. What they provide to me are recommendations. I have found that working with Elon and Doge has been fantastic, a big help to our efforts.
In March, the EPA announced plans to roll back over 30 air and water quality standards, including protections against fine particulate matter. The new head of the agency describes promoting the AI industry as a core part of the EPA's mission.
It's about unleashing energy dominance, making America the AI capital of the world. And the EPA can't be restrictive of that. We can't be suffocating it.
Making America the world's AI capital means prioritizing a massive expansion of data centers, and hundreds of them are now under construction.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Levi.
With Trump's EPA backing that effort, there may be little recourse for the communities downwind.
XAI comes from a culture of Silicon Valley. That culture is go fast and break stuff. Break them.
A week after this hearing, XAI announced it would reduce the number of turbines it's running at Colossus over the next 2 months, but it's also dramatically expanding.
I'm happy to announce that XAI is increasing their footprint.
It's building a second larger data center.
Oh yeah, we've already started work on the next cluster. Yeah, about 5 times the power.
Where its construction permit application indicates it's considering using between 40 and 90 gas turbines and enough electricity to power 40% of Memphis.
So we're not like stopping here.
In February, during an XAI product launch, Elon Musk gave the closest thing to a public explanation for what he's done in Memphis.
Well, we needed a building, so we found an Electrolux factory in Memphis. That's why it's in Memphis, home of Elvis. And also, I think it was the capital of ancient Egypt. Then we needed power, at least 120 megawatts at first, but the building only had 15 megawatts. So we initially leased a whole bunch of generators. So we have generators on one side of the building, trailer after trailer of generators, until we could get the utility power to come in. You know, it's like interesting. It's not like, oh, we just magically made it happen. You have to break down the problem, just like Grok does for reasoning.
Raggedy Ann.
XAI did not respond to questions for this report.
What's happening in Memphis, that is Elon's vision.
Mr. President, all systems are activated. Congratulations, Dr. Foreman. It's a marvelous achievement. Thank you, sir.
A technocracy, to be able to do whatever he wants, whatever he chooses, to experiment, to kill, to destroy the environment at the behest of his machines. What that will amount to is a plantation economy for the rest of the world. A desolate wasteland of data centers is to follow.
Thanks so much for...
So, let me drop that, and I got another one here. I got two of these, 2 more I want to show. Well, one more after this one. Hey, this is a necessary evil, man.
Yeah, so
check this one out.
Yeah, so they purchased this land here as well as on the other side, which is a bit scary.
This is theirs?
Yeah, all of this. I think people know what we will be giving up, but what will we get in return is the larger question, and no one really knows that with certainty.
Solano County, California sits just north of the Bay Area and south of Sacramento. And for the past 8 years, its largely middle and working class communities have been facing what many locals consider a hostile takeover.
They've destroyed families. They don't care. They do not care about us, no matter what they say.
You can't make this shit up. You know, I have never seen anything like this.
We visited Solano County.
Hey, Michael Jackson said it, man. They don't give a damn about us, talking about so-called Negro, Latino, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians. And they showing you how much they really don't care about their own people, man. The elites.
In June to learn more about a battle between a local community and a secretive group intent on creating its own society. The story began in 2017.
A farmer from out
That society, they only want 500 million.
in the area called me and said, hey, somebody's buying land out here. And I thought, okay. He goes, but it's a lot of land. So I went down and to the county and looked at the property records, and I could see the name Flannery LLC, and that they had bought up at that time more than 20,000 acres.
Albert Medvitz and his wife, Jeannie, moved back to Solano County in 1987 to run her family's farm, one of the many dryland farms in the region.
In 2019, we ourselves got a letter offering to buy our ranch at inflated prices. We made it clear there's no way we're going to sell this ranch. And they simply could not seem to comprehend why people would turn down money for something and maybe more value than money could buy.
They decided to sue the ones who would not sell to them.
They came in the dark of night, kind of. They did this stuff secretly. You know, they've just ticked off a whole lot of the community. And then they have the gall to sue farmers that don't want to sell. It's just like...
The buzzword, they did it secretly. Well, this is the scripture. This is what the scripture tell you, man. And the Lord said that he shall make Esau bare, man, and uncover all his secret places. So now his own hand is for his own mouth is falling upon him. But this is a necessary evil, man. This gotta happen for the kingdom of heaven to come.
What are you thinking?
Flannery also sued dozens of other family farmers who held out after discussing the value of their land amongst each other, accusing them of collusion and antitrust violations.
That's madness.
Of course they talked. Farmers do that. People do that. They want badly. One's right near the water, and that person is not giving it up. So these farmers, what's happened is they are going broke trying to fight back against these billionaire boys.
It's just been...
The billionaire boys. She called the elites boys. Cause that's what she talking about. Hey, what it said in Isaiah 3:12, children are our oppressors. She said billionaire boys. This is cold, man.
Agonizing. There were so many people who were wounded by this.
The buyers maintained a veil of secrecy around their identity until August 2023. That's when the New York Times broke the news that Flannery, which eventually spent $900 million buying up 66,000 acres of land, is the front group for a company called California Forever. And California Forever, backed by billionaires such as Reid Hoffman, Laurene Powell Jobs, and Mark Andreessen, wants to build a privately run city in the middle of the county's protected farmland with far less regulation.
The new city would be located north of Highway 12 between Travis Air Force Base and Rio Vista.
The group wants to build a green community that
it claims will include thousands of affordable homes, shopping, dining, and walkable neighborhoods.
So they're saying they want to be good neighbors with people in Solano County, and at the same time, they're suing their own literal fence-by-fence neighbors.
Investors in California Forever have been largely mum on the project and
suing people because they don't want to sell. They show you that the Constitution ain't nothing, man.
strategy. The public face of California Forever is its CEO, a former Goldman Sachs whiz kid named Jan Schwamek. He grew up in Eastern Europe, was a young prodigy in London, and founded a failed Twitter-like app. Here he is talking about the lawsuits at a tech conference.
It was a hard decision, but we have laws on the books that protect against that kind of conduct. And we'll leave it to the courts to figure it out.
What is the law that says if you want my property and I don't want to sell it to you, you drag me to court?
There's no law like that. What we have a law against is the law that says if the 6 gas companies, the gas stations in town get together and say that they're going to charge $50 for gas, then there's price fixing laws against that.
Schwamek has also been confronted by residents.
See, this is Psalms. These devils, man. And they doing it to their own people. Psalms 94 and 20. It reads, shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which frameth mischief by a law? They set up their own standards. They got laws to cover. It all covers them, man. They got laws on top of laws, on top of statutes. They create these statutes to cover themselves, like bankruptcy. They got laws, statutes to cover themselves, man. You can sue a person because they don't want to sell. That's madness. But this is a necessary evil.
Let me say respectfully. Respectfully.
These are Edomites in here, right here.
I cannot tell you how much hatred I have for these people. Just hatred.
She got hatred for her own people. Ain't that something? Ain't this about something?
Schwamek was crude and did not understand that he would have had a much better reception if he had talked to people.
Schwamek self-published a book in 2009 titled Racing Towards Excellence, which summed up his personal outlook with a misquote attributed to Ayn Rand. Quote, the question isn't who's going to let me, it's who's going to stop me. The stakes are sky high, both locally and for the nation. If the project goes through, a precedent will be set with billionaires able to buy their way through community resistance and create their own privately held societies. And if that sounds exaggerated, it's already in progress elsewhere.
Legacy systems of governance keep individuals from reaching their full potential.
Andreessen, one of California Forever's billionaire tech investors, is also an investor in a company called Pronomos, which is trying to build its own radical tech cities around the world. In Honduras, Pronomos purchased land unbeknownst to locals in order to build Prospera, a libertarian.
Right, bro. The end has come. Ecclesiastes 14:5. It reads, he that is evil to himself, to whom will he be good? He shall not take pleasure in his goods. I did a lesson on this some months ago. Right here, there is no American dream anymore. There's only survival. These Edomites. I did a lesson on that. They taking these people trailer house. These people that stay in these trailer parks. They own their places, but they raised the rent on them. Now they forcing them to move.
In a Bitcoin-powered city, and now that the country wants them out, the company is suing to establish autonomy.
Prospera has had a very negative impact on our community. But the mental stress that we are under, we don't know when our home will be taken from us.
Prospera is being very slowly built along the ocean in an area with some existing infrastructure. California Forever brings the idea to the US with just as much mystery and libertarian zeal.
I first met Jan. He came to City Hall and met with me, and I had my city manager there as well. And the one thing that's always stuck out with me in that discussion was we asked him, what kind of governance are you talking about if you're making a city? And he said, we're going to do something completely different. It won't be what you're used to. And we asked him to go a little further, and he did not. But it wasn't going to be like a city council kind of thing.
I think the biggest disadvantage will be to the individuals in the new community because you don't have an elected official to hold accountable. You don't have anyone that you can directly communicate your concerns to.
This is a key promise of the so-called network state movement, a tech separatist effort to create private, self-governed utopias. Schwamek has claimed he isn't interested in the movement, but several of California Forever's top investors are involved, and its creator called the would-be city a prime example of his idea.
The network state is about the book, is about the bare land version of it, right? Which is already being tried. You're seeing it in Northern California.
Donald Trump, supported by Andreessen and other Silicon Valley libertarians, has a similar plan, but he calls them freedom cities.
No, you can't serve two masters, is my opinion. So one will always suffer. Either you'll answer to the people that you're serving or your investors, but you really can't do both.
Schwamek has talked repeatedly about removing regulations around building, which is key to the network state's self-government plan and a dream for developers.
And when I look at all of these plans or places that I visited, I often wonder, was the original vision somehow more radical? And then it got watered down because the fire department said something and the city said something.
I don't believe that this is just going to be a development. I think this is going to be an experiment about forms of governance. And when you have somebody like Mark Andreessen writing the Techno-Optimist Manifesto, claiming that words like sustainability are a curse on society, I think that's extremely exaggerated.
When we spoke with Solano County locals and officials, they voiced some similar concerns about the proposed city, its size, and how it impacts the generations of residents.
My fear is that building a development like this, where it could be up to 400,000 people in a county of 450,000 people, it's not being built for the people of Solano County.
And we have to deal with the consequences. We have to deal with the congestion on Highway 12. We have to deal with the increase in taxes that could possibly happen or occur. We have to deal with, if we're in a drought year, how is water going to be re-rationed?
There was uncertainty about promises made to working class residents.
They're flat out lying to people about what it is.
And worry about California Forever's impact on the environment and economy, which was validated when the Solano County Board of Supervisors released an economic impact study. The report was prepared ahead of a November ballot initiative to change zoning laws to allow the city's construction to begin. Polling already showed mass opposition to the plan. Then this happened.
California Forever announcing today its East Solano plan will no longer be on the ballot in November.
Now the company is promising to make adjustments and try again in 2026. But the issues they face run deeper than deficits. Many of them are a matter of just misunderstanding the region. Here's what Jan Schwamek told billionaire investor, LinkedIn co-founder Reid Hoffman about the county's farmland.
We've been able to purchase this property because it is some of the worst soil for agriculture within 100 miles.
Locals vehemently disagree, pointing to the $1.3 billion in revenue that farms and related businesses produced in 2023.
They have taken over a lot of land that has been dry farmed and has brought protein to the country and the world for 3 and 4 generations.
And in this era of climate change, when water is becoming scarcer across the country and across the world to use for crops, to be able here to set an example of how we can produce significant food, important food, without relying on water, it's hugely important.
The Orderly Growth Initiative has governed land use and planning in Solano County for 40 years, keeping cities growing without impacting farmland. Voters would have to approve changes to the law for the city to be built on protected farmland. Ironic, because the ordinance was first enacted in 1984 to prevent an investor from San Francisco from establishing a new city on the farmland.
Everything that's green is protected by the Orderly Growth Initiative. Okay, so Flannery's looking at this big green chunk down here. Here's Rio Vista, and there's Travis Air Force Base. So everything in gold is the land that Flannery bought. And you can see it's virtually that entire corner of the county.
As one of the 10 core guarantees made to Solano County residents, California Forever promised to create good-paying jobs in places where people live. Many of the companies that Schwamek announced as potential employers in East Solano are tech startups that share investors with California Forever's billionaire funders. Instead of waiting for a brand new city, officials say they would welcome them to their towns now.
We have a whole city block that I offered to him to go ahead and develop what you're looking at. Let's see it.
It's a bit disrespectful to withhold opportunity because it's tied to you directly. It's almost like a bait and switch or dangling a carrot before a person.
Here's what I've said about those companies that they've said might want to come out there. Come here now.
Affordable housing is another one of the 10 guarantees that California Forever offered the community as part of its sales pitch. They claim Solano County isn't building enough housing.
If you think that we aren't building enough houses, go down and look at our general plan and then come back and talk to us. It's thousands and thousands of houses.
We took a tour of locations where housing is being built right nearby. There were huge new developments in an area already zoned for housing and small neighborhoods right off main streets.
As you can tell, we're really active here in development. Price is really affordable for Bay Area standards, which is really cool. But the difference is these gentlemen can probably afford to live in these houses that we're building, which I take great pride in that. You know, I'm working class. My family is working class.
California Forever's apartments will start at $400,000 in today's dollars. Years from now, when the city would open, that's likely to be well over $500,000.
Who that affordable housing gonna be for? It's not for me and my people. They did this same thing in Silicon Valley. They promised them all these houses and all this. Well, look at them now, unhoused. They gonna do the same thing to us.
California Forever now plans to get a development agreement in place before a vote by residents in 2026, which could address their many concerns. The company plans to work with the board.
Brother got Job 9:24, the end has come. The earth is given to the hand of the wicked. He covered the face of the judges thereof, if not, where and who is he? And as Elias Woman said once, covering the face of the judges is not just talking about the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Shai, King David, Solomon, the Israelites. He also covering the face of the judges. They do not use equity. They do not follow the laws of the Lord. They tell you in Isaiah 24:5. As a matter of fact, let me read this real quick here. This devil is total opposite of the Lord, man. It's Isaiah 24:5. And I've been reading this a lot, that Isaiah 32. It reads, the earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance, and broken the everlasting covenant. Therefore have the curse devoured the earth, which is Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, and they that dwell therein are desolate. Therefore the inhabitants of the earth are burned, and few men left. Since I'm here, let me read this. Isaiah 32:6. For the vile person will speak villainy, and his heart will work iniquity, to practice hypocrisy, and to utter error against the Lord. See, they are changing everything to make empty the souls of the hungry, and he will cause the drink of the thirsty to fail. The instruments also the churl are evil. He devises wicked devices to destroy the poor with lying words, even when the needy speaketh right. So this is the devil, man. This is the devil that we know as that
supervisor.
That video, there's a documentary on Netflix about the DuPonts, which it was called The Devil We Know. And I got a video on that next, Lord willing.
Project, which has people worried. It's very unlikely to win over some of the current supervisors.
As far as I'm concerned, I will never trust anything that they bring forward on anything. You broke the public trust. You operated in bad faith. You went after our farmers.
The concern is that they may work.
Who is she talking to? She's talking to the elites, man. And the government work for the elites, man. This is cold.
To remake the board.
As long as they're here, they're gonna work really hard to take over our politics. They haven't done that step yet, but they're getting close. That's what the 49ers did in Santa Clara. I mean, they basically bought city council seats, and to get the deal they want.
The CEO of the San Francisco 49ers has spent a record $3 million on supporting 4 candidates running for a seat on Santa Clara's city council.
They will do everything they can to get infrastructure money into their project to cut down their cost.
The secrecy was so resented, not even $7 million in marketing could overcome it. For months, California Forever tried everything. They blanketed the highways and airwaves with ads. They promised a big sports complex and a man-made lagoon and handed out cash to small businesses and nonprofits.
A lot of the people, like the garden that I work for, or just other people that I know in the community, they're saying they had to take the money because, of course, we're starving out there.
When the nonprofit did not agree with the terms of receiving it, it was taken back from them. And that's a nonprofit.
When California Forever decided to pull the ballot initiative, a coalition called Solano Together declared victory. Now locals must spend the next 2 years staying vigilant.
This is going to be studied in history. Everything that's happening now, this is setting a precedent for, the future trajectory of what our society looks like.
I have never seen true, real grassroots fight like this. I mean, it's across the board. Republicans, Democrats, does not matter, liberal, conservative. Never cared about politics in my life, but I care about farming, or I care about Travis. They're up against people who care, and that means a lot. We hope it means more than their billions.
And it don't.
Thank you so much for...
Let me see some here, because I did a lesson the other week. Oh no, here you go. It say John Deere robs farmers of $4 billion a year. John Deere, man. I did a lesson this last week. They creating these new tractors, these new farming equipment that can't be fixed by a regular mechanic or a mechanic of your choosing. You got to go to the shop or back to the dealer. So let me pull this up. Hey, Esau, boy. Hey, this nigga is something else, man. But this is a necessary evil. So let me get this here. This is the last one. Lord willing. Now this is it's called In Everything. Now, this is going into these devils, the DuPonts. Which this on Netflix too. The DuPonts is called The Devil We Know. So let's play some of this.
We sat here and ate beef 3, 4, 5 days a week for, as far as I'm concerned, over a decade of contaminated beef. How much is in my system? How much is in my kid's system? Is it going to kill them before they get a life? It's hard to say.
There's something poisoning America's farms. A chemical that was built in a lab decades ago by companies who knew in private that it was highly toxic. Now that chemical is showing up almost everywhere.
Yeah, that devil real crap.
It is a Pandora's box. It's going to blow up and people are going to find out it's in it and everything and it's in everyone and there's nothing to clean it up and there's nothing to save you from it.
Toxic PFAS, also known as forever
chemicals. PFAS are in so many consumer products. Non-stick pans,
dental floss, computer chips,
shampoos, and conditioners.
Whether it's gone down the river and contaminated fresh drinking water for people or if it's on farmland and you're eating it, it's out there.
We have a mass poisoning of our population.
Forever chemicals are linked to a number of serious health issues.
How can a company knowingly have contaminated the groundwater?
So, how did we get here? How did our farms become toxic waste sites? How did the Teflon in your nonstick pan become a full-blown public health crisis? And why has it taken so long for the government to take action?
They knew about the problem for decades.
And now they've got a chemical that can't be destroyed, it can't be cleaned up. if we don't get some real response real soon, we're all gonna be in a real hell of a shit show mess.
Can you talk about how you guys name the cattle?
It's just it's a family thing. My kids name them, my wife names them, and it's better than numbers.
Jason Grostic is a third-generation cattle farmer from Brighton, Michigan.
We started back in the early 1900s. Back then it was a dairy farm. My dad took over things in the 70s. We lost him to a farming accident in 95. And then in 97, we decided to get out of the dairy and get into beef. There you go, have fun. That business was booming. We were growing steadily every year. We had plans of our kids taking over and doing it. 3 generations, could have been 4. But as we look at it now with PFAS shutting us down in 2022, there's no growth here. There's no more family farming.
A few years ago, Jason got a call that he wasn't expecting from the Michigan Department of Agriculture and Rural Development.
January 27th of 2022, got on a Zoom meeting with 4 people I'd never seen in my life. The head of MDARD, he starts apologizing, all sympathetic and this, that, and the other thing. And I finally said, what the hell are you talking about? You don't know? And I says, no, what? He says, well, we're serving you a seizure notice today. You're shut down. Nothing leaves the farm.
Without warning, the state of Michigan had shut down Jason's farm, declaring it contaminated and unusable. They cited high levels of so-called PFAS on the land.
This is the bucket of tags of all the animals we lost. Either they died because of it, or we dispatched them to save them their own pain and misery. It's been tough on my wife and kids. I was just a miserable bastard for 2 years, and they got the brunt of that shit show. I mean, they took away my livelihood. They basically bankrupted me. They told me I'd be back in business in no time. Here I am, 3 years and a few months into it, and I don't have rights to the farm. The government took all that away from me over something I didn't do. I didn't dump the chemical here.
Jason's farm was poisoned by PFAS chemicals that were buried within a type of fertilizer called biosolids. Every time you flush your toilet or do a load of laundry, that water goes to a wastewater treatment plant. And biosolids are the leftover byproduct of that process. For decades, the EPA has encouraged the use of biosolids as a cheap fertilizer.
I'm not the only one that took biosolids. EPA says it's clean. State of Michigan said it was clean. And I'm on a small scale. Some of these farms are creating tens of thousands of gallons of milk a day. How many homeowners is that hitting?
It's estimated that as many as 20 million acres of farmland across the country could be contaminated with forever chemicals.
There's PFAS in West Virginia, New Mexico, Arizona, Wisconsin. I mean, it's showing its face everywhere.
So how did this happen? How did forever chemicals end up in our waste? And who put the poison there in the first place?
There's something wrong with this cow, and they keep trying to tell me there's nothing wrong with these things. I can call the West Virginia State Veterinarian, Doc Thomas, and the only thing he asked me is, do you have a good attorney?
You know, and when Mr. Tennant first reached out to me and was concerned about his cattle, we thought, this is going to be a fairly straightforward, quick, easy case. We had no idea that we would be dealing with PFAS or any of these completely unregulated man-made chemicals.
Rob Bilott started out as a corporate lawyer who specialized in defending large chemical companies from environmental lawsuits. But in 1998, he was approached by a farmer from Parkersburg, West Virginia, a man named Wilbur Tennant.
And this is what they expect a man's cows to drink on his own property.
Wilbur's cows had been acting deranged and dying off at an alarming rate.
There was a serious problem occurring on that property. There was something coming out of this landfill next to his property.
That landfill belonged to the largest employer in town, the chemical giant DuPont.
It took some battling in court to finally get DuPont ordered to start turning over their internal files. What I began to see there really kind of changed my entire perception of what I thought I knew about environmental law in the United States.
Those documents, 110,000 pages in total, contain private letters, health reports, and scientific studies. And Rob kept finding mention of one chemical in particular.
PFOA, perfluorooctanoic acid. We were dealing with a chemical that had been invented by the 3M company right around really the time of World War II. It was DuPont that was around the same time had invented its own new chemical called Teflon.
Food doesn't stick to Teflon like it does to other things.
Teflon was famous for its non-stick, waterproof properties. But to make Teflon at scale, DuPont needed the chemical that 3M was producing. So they started buying it in huge quantities, shipping it to what would become the largest Teflon plant in the world, right outside of Parkersburg.
They were concerned, though, by this unique chemical structure of PFOA, this 8 carbons attached to fluorine. The DuPont scientists realized that was a very strong chemical bond, something that probably wouldn't be able to be broken apart. The concern became at that point, well, what would happen to living things that might get exposed to this?
So by the early 60s, DuPont started running its own experiments on rats, rabbits, and eventually their own workers. And they kept finding a concerning pattern.
There was a wealth of information within both 3M and DuPont that this particular chemical was toxic, persistent, cancer-causing. Yet all of this information was essentially kept internal to the companies. And this information had been covered up. The public hadn't been told, the regulators hadn't been told, the scientific community hadn't been told.
Armed with all of this evidence, Rob was able to settle Wilbur Tennant's case in 2001. But by that point, he had already opened Pandora's box.
What we had seen in the internal DuPont documents was that the same chemical was also getting into the public drinking water of the entire surrounding community, about 70,000 people in that area. So we had filed a new lawsuit against DuPont, this time a class action on behalf of the entire community.
That lawsuit eventually yielded a settlement of $70 million. But DuPont still refused to acknowledge that their chemicals could have played any role in causing widespread health issues in Parkersburg. So the settlement was used to do something unique. The money went towards developing a massive health study conducted by an independent panel of scientists.
We got 69,000 people out of the 70,000 in that community who came forward and participated. Probably some of the biggest human health studies ever done on any chemical. And by 2013, they had confirmed that drinking PFOA in the water was linked with 6 different diseases: kidney cancer, testicular cancer, ulcerative colitis, thyroid disease, preeclampsia, and high cholesterol.
Today, there are dozens of companies that produce these chemicals, with more than 10,000 varieties of PFAS on the market. They can be found in the tap water of nearly half the country, in sewage sludge that's spread across our farms, and in the blood of more than 99% of Americans.
It's enough to make anybody want to throw their hands in the air and just walk away from it. You can't because it has real life, tangible health consequences.
Cindy Boyle lives with her husband on the outskirts of Marinette, Wisconsin. For years, without knowing it, they were drinking water that had been poisoned.
Tyco Johnson Controls, they manufacture AFFF firefighting foam, not very far from our home, and they open ground tested this firefighting foam for decades. Looking back at that, we just had a small family of 4, and my mom had kidney cancer as a young woman. My sister has thyroid disease. I have a full thyroidectomy. My dad had a brain tumor. He's got, prostate cancer, all kinds of health issues.
When she tested her blood, Cindy found that her PFAS levels were 5 times higher than the national average.
It really lit a fire under me that we unknowingly fed this to our children in their bottles. One night I was sitting in a parking lot on the phone with my sister. Sorry, it was very late, and I was venting to her, saying, "What do I do?" And she just called it like it was, and she said, "You're either gonna fight this yourself, with whoever will help, or you're going to leave this for your kids to deal with. And it sounds so trite, but that was the truth. And I hung up, and that's been the path ever since. We've met with all kinds of different people on this, and my plea has been, please legislate this. Because once you legislate it, now you must test for it. In many cases, when you test, you find. When you find, you must report. When you report to people that they've been drinking poison, a lot of them react the same way we are. They don't like it.
In states across the country, activists like Cindy have successfully fought to hold corporations accountable and to protect their communities from forever chemicals. But that progress is only a patchwork. Many states have no guardrails at all, and even the states with stronger protections are still leaving people behind.
With biosolids being applied to the soil the way they were, how am I the only one in the state of Michigan that's not allowed to farm? I don't know if there's a governor or a president that technically cares about the public. And they sure as hell don't care about one farmer in the state of Michigan.
It raises an important question.
Why have we not made more progress than one would expect?
I think there are a lot of factors as to why so little progress has been made on this issue. One of them is that industry in this country is extremely powerful.
Kyla Bennett worked at the EPA for 10 years. Now she's helping farmers in Texas who are suing the EPA for failing to protect them from PFAS.
EPA was told by PFAS manufacturers in 1998 that there were probably dangers associated with these chemicals. And here we are decades later, and very little progress has been made on keeping people safe from these chemicals.
In the last 2 decades, hundreds of new PFAS compounds have been allowed to flood the market, and contamination from those chemicals has only continued to grow. Meanwhile, industry groups have spent tens of millions of dollars lobbying to block any PFAS legislation from making its way through Congress.
Industry lobbyists shape our laws. They have infiltrated Congress and our federal agencies like EPA.
But even with the outsized power of those corporate interests, progress was still possible.
Enough is enough. It's time that we prioritize the American people's health over profits of big polluters.
In April of 2024, Biden's EPA established the first ever federal limit on forever chemicals in drinking water. It was estimated that the new limits would reduce exposure for 100 million people nationwide.
And then, of course, there's the ever-changing political landscape, and that is more like this.
Under Trump, everything is up in the air.
The administrator, Lee Zeldin, when he was a representative, he seemed very concerned about PFAS.
When I was in the House, I was a member of the PFAS task force.
And in May, Lee Zeldin even released a PFAS action plan.
And if you read it quickly, it sounds like they want to take action, but if you read it carefully, you can see that they are actually going to be deregulating.
Later that month, the Trump administration announced they would be eliminating many of the Biden-era limits on PFAS in drinking water, citing the need for, quote, common sense flexibility. When you look at who's running the EPA, this approach starts to make a lot more sense.
Trump has appointed several people with a lot of industry experience and background into EPA.
So if you'd raise your right hand.
There's David Fatuhi, Deputy Administrator of the EPA, who once represented a company that had been accused of spreading 93,000 tons of PFAS-containing biosolids throughout Maine. Then there's Nancy Beck, who Trump nominated to be the head of the Consumer Product Safety Commission. She used to be a lobbyist for the American Chemistry Council, where she led the industry's charge against drinking water limits for PFAS. And then there's Lynn Deklova, who holds a senior role in the EPA. Before that, she worked for decades at none other than DuPont.
It's been really painful to see how decision-making can be influenced. There is a lot of profit around the use of these compounds. Consequently, there is a lot of effective interests. I keep coming back to the only solution, which is ultimately really you need to cut the head off the snake.
Industry is arguing that basically all of the uses are essential, that you need it in your waterproof mascara or in your baseball glove, that these things are so essential to the functioning of society that if we get rid of them, society is just going to fall apart. And that's bullshit.
It's just a vicious, vicious cycle that you'll never get ahead of as long as these compounds are being used and certainly put out into the environment.
We're talking about an issue that has continued for decades in this country. It has transcended political parties, administrations.
The federal government needs to have a comprehensive, single definition of PFAS. They need to regulate all of those PFAS as a class, and they need to ban all non-essential uses of PFAS. And unless and until that's done, we're not going to be able to get a handle on this.
It makes you feel less alone knowing there's other people out there. Does it make you feel better? Hell no. Because now you just know there's another person out there, the misery to live with that I've lived with. As the American people, we got to band together to get the PFAS cleaned up.
Hey, and as she said, got to cut the head off the snake, man. These devils are something else. This is Proverbs 26 and 28. A lion tongue hateth those that are afflicted by it. Because now everybody is being afflicted by the elites, man. And it reads, and a flattering mouth worketh ruin. The so-called white man is ruining everything about life, man. He's destroying, and this is why this is a necessary evil. This is his last rulership, and they doing a perfect job at destroying it, man. Ecclesiasticus chapter 10 and 10, it reads, the physician, which is Yahweh Shah, cutteth off a long disease, and the disease is the so-called white man. He that is today a king, tomorrow shall die. This guy's a disease to the whole earth. They said in Isaiah 24, he's the curse, man. He's the counsel. This guy's doing this to his own people. And as I tell you in Habakkuk 2, this is all for the elites. Habakkuk 2 and 9, woe to him that coveteth an evil covetousness to his house, that he may set his nest on high, that he may be delivered from the power of evil. Everything these devils doing is to eliminate the people and to make sure they have enough resources to themselves to hide when destruction comes. This is all about them having enough resources so they can hide, destroying their people in the process of them having enough resources to think they get to hide from the Lord, to ride out the destruction. This is old basic precepts, man. Proverbs 11 and 29. He that troubleth his own house, shall inherit the wind, and the fool shall be servant to the wise of heart. This is where's the other precept at? This guy is something else, man. Hold on here, bear with me. These guys are something else, man. This is Proverbs 15 and 6. In the house of the righteous is much treasures, but in the revenues of the wicked is trouble. See, this is all about revenues for the wicked, man. Proverbs 15:27. He that is greedy of gain troubleth his own house. That's Proverbs 11. Habakkuk 2, Proverbs 15. He's troubling his own house, man. He that is greedy of gain troubleth his own house, but he that hateth gifts shall live. The so-called white man is troubling his own house, man. His own people. Show you how wicked he is. As the brother had posted that one precept. So let me get a couple of these on the comment board. And I went into this Psalm 58:3. This word astray. Psalm 58:3 from Kingdom Rising. Hey, shalom to all the argument I want tuning in. Yahabashim Shab Rakatham. The wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies. Go to that word astray and look it up. This is what he did, man. These devils came out the womb, and as Elder Aram made the point, when these devils came out the womb, which is coming out of the caves, as it tell you Revelation 27, he went out to deceive the nations. It didn't say he was going to try. It said they went out to deceive the nations. And this is what Esau did, man. This nigga came out of the womb and led the world astray. Damn dude punch, man. Yep. This is the end is come, Proverbs 4:16. For they sleep not, except they have done mischief, and their sleep is taken away unless they cause some to fall. This is exactly what they did, man. But this is his kingdom. He can do this. And we can't get the kingdom of heaven until the so-called white man destroy his own kingdom. And as it tell you in Psalm 37:15, that his own sword, that his sword should enter into his own heart. So the Lord using Edomites to destroy Edomites. And the ultimate Edomite is going to destroy Babylon the Great. It's going to be the Russian Edomites. Isaiah 10:1, woe unto him that decree unrighteous decrees and that write grievousness which they have prescribed. Yeah, man. He framed mischief by law. So anyway, I want to show this, man. And it's lucky for being so long. But I saw those two clips. And then this third one right here. And I was like, man, I just had to throw this together. And there's a lot more precepts I could get. Hey, this man, he working ruin, man. Oh, let me get this. One of my favorite top 10 precepts. Ecclesiastes 10:5, it reads, there is an evil. There is an evil which I have seen under the sun, as an error which proceeded from the ruler. It's not an error, but it seemed like it. Ecclesiastes 10:5, there is an evil which I have seen under the sun, as an error which proceeded from the ruler. Hey, Esau, Edom, the Idumeans, self-proclaimed white man, Dukes of Edom, a necessary evil. Lord was edifying. We give our praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushua, Bahashim Rikah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles, elder, bishop, and elders of great millstone, rule well, who teach well, who are the apostles and elders of all of Israel, whether accepted or not. In the sincere salutation to all the occupant pushing the truth and believing it's true throughout the four winds of the earth, the entire world. Share light to the hopeful elect. Shalom to the art worthwhile listen learning. If you sister listen learning. Do I have tuning in? Do I for your precepts? I got a couple more precepts I want to read. This is Ecclesiastes 10:3. It reads, "An unwise king destroyeth his people, but through the prudence of them which are in authority, the city shall be inhabited." Man, this guy is really destroying the earth, man. Oh, this is I think your brother put this up there too. Let me read this. This is Proverbs 29:2. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. And what we see Edomites mourning, man. Yep, brother Lee put it up. Spiritual Art 144K put up the Proverbs 29:2. Oh, hold on, let me get this out the screen. Let me read this other precept here. The Micah 2:10. Yep, from the end has come. Arise ye, Micah 2:10. Arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest, because it is polluted. He shall destroy you, even with the sword of destruction. And the Lord said in Amos 7:17. The Lord said, matter of fact, let me read it. Hey, man, because this is about Israel, man. These heathens just extras and casualties of war. This is Amos 7:17. It reads, "Therefore thus saith Yahweh, thy wife shall be an harlot in the city, and thy sons and thy daughters shall fall by the sword, and thy land shall be divided by line." And who's in our land right now? Edom, Ishmael, and Elam. "And thou shalt die in a polluted land, and Israel shall surely go forth into captivity." So like Israel shall surely go into captivity forth of his land. Yeah, man. We're going down the polluted land, and we're going to go into captivity forth of our land. Man, I'm thinking about so many other precepts I can get. But I need to lay my old ass down, man. I hit this plantation in the morning. So Lord willing, this edifying throughout tuning in. May Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah continue to bless you in your houses. May the blessing of election be upon your houses. Till next time I say Shalom, Wa Abba. Let me get this. This is Kingdom Rising, Luke 12:2. "For there is nothing covered that shall not be revealed, neither hid that shall not be known." Right. And the Lord said that He's gonna make Esau better, man, and He shall uncover all his secret places, man. Everything that the so-called white man has done, the Lord has unveiled it, man. Yep. So the water, man. Yep. Let's read this. Let's close with this. Spiritual Art 144K. Revelation 11:18. It reads, "And the nations were angry, and thy wrath is come, and the time of the dead, that they should be judged," which is the heathens. Tell you in our Proverbs 21:16, "They that wonder by the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead." And Solomon said in Ecclesiastes 3 that the heathen nations is just beasts. They don't know the Lord. "And that thou shouldest give reward unto thy servants, the prophets." Hold on. Let me get the rest of this. Revelation 11:18. It reads, "And the nations were angry, and thy wrath is come, in the time of the dead, that they should be judged, and that thou shouldest give reward unto thy servant the prophets, to the saints, and to them that fear thy name, small and great, and shouldest destroy them which destroys the earth. Who destroying the earth? It's the so-called white man. No other nation, man. It's Esau, Edom, the self-proclaimed so-called white man, the Dukes of Edom, the Idumeans. It's them, man. Yep, we're at the end, man. Hey, so Shalom, Wa, Abba,